What is going on, fam? Ah, yeah, this is an impromptu live, man. I had several of you write to me. You wanted me to go live uh, because you never get to tune in on Mondays. I know I didn't give too much of a notice, but let's give it a minute or two and let's let people start coming in and commenting. We're definitely going to be talking dogs. We're going to be talking just about every or anything y'all want to talk about, man. Um, so let me just give y'all a minute to come on in. I know, I know it's a bit of impromptu. I get it, man. Eight in the evening on a Friday night. I get it. Um, I want to thank you guys for. Oh, look at that! See, Ronnie F is saying yes. Regan Blues, man. What's up, man? Good evening, fam. What's going on, man? Yeah, how we doing? We're doing good. We're doing good. I know this is a very, very impromptu live. Um, Pretty much, I know I'm not giving you guys much of a notification, and that's fine, man. At the end of the day, it's about just you know collaborating, talking dogs, answering questions. I have several of you. Hold on a second. Ah, okay, that's what that was. All right, sorry guys. I just had a. There you go. So I had several of you reaching out to me saying that because of the scheduling. Okay, never mind. Because of the scheduling. Okay, I see. This is the Tyson night. Okay, it makes a lot of sense, man. It makes a lot of sense. So, hey, I want to know, right? I should have had a poll ready. In fact, let me make a quick poll on the channel for you guys to vote. It's going to be a public. It's going to be a public thing. I'm gonna type in who do you think will win, right? Who do you think will win? And it's a text poll, so we're going to put Mike Tyson, and or Jake Paul, right? Jake Paul. That's going to be interesting, man. I don't know. The way Tyson slapped Jake Paul, to me, I don't know, man. It looked kind of wrestling-ish to me. No offense to Mike or Jake Paul. They're doing a tremendous job, but for some reason I thought it was kind of fake. Yeah. Rican Blue says Tyson. Okay, what foods do I give my dogs? We'll get on that here in a second. I did ask, who do you think is going to win? And Ronnie F says, who cares? I'd rather be here. Ronnie F, man, nothing but love, man. David Simontel says, no, Jake Paul's going to win. Wow. Please, nobody put money on Tyson just based on his name, says Brayman Bulls. Bull Bullies. Fredia Strevia says Mike Tyson. Well, Mike Tyson, he's more my generation. Growing up, he's more with my generation. David Simontel says he got 500 on Tyson. Woo-wee. Man. David, consider it gone, says Brayman Bulls. I don't know. And this is the only reason I'm going to say I don't know. The thing is, the way Tyson slapped Jake Paul, in fact, let me see if I could bring it up so we could all see it. To me, it was rather fake, man. I'm not going to lie. Tyson slaps Jake Paul. Let me see if they got it up here. Yeah, they got it up here. So let me go ahead and bring it up and definitely play it here on the stream so we could all see it. I want to hear what you think as far as was this a real slap or was it a fake slap? Because to me, and I don't want to, I don't want to poop on their parade or anything like that, man. I really don't. But just check it out. Check it out.
Ladies and gentlemen.
You see, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Pounds Bill.
let me stop it there for a second. Let me just stop it there for a second. And let me go ahead and let me just go ahead and rewind it and play it again, right? So here you go. Right. So supposedly Jake Paul stepping on Tyson's toes, right, on his shoe. Well, I don't know, man. Now looking at it, I wish we had a slow-mo setting or something here. Here you go. Yeah, Jake Paul. Here's why now I'm kind of eating my words a little bit. And it's not because of the way Tyson is slapping. It's the fact that Jake Paul's arms are in the position that they're in. Tells me that he wasn't expecting what was about to happen. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, I could be wrong, guys. I could be wrong. I just took my words back, right? Tyson gets a special kind of crazy. Yeah, I know he can. I know he can. Adam Field says the fight doesn't start till 10. And I'd rather talk with my bully fam anyways. Number up, man. They said Jake stepped on his toe. Yeah, I know. He was just probably knowing Tyson, he's looking for a reason to do it. You see, a lot of people think of Tyson as being dumb or silly. I don't know, man. That special kind of crazy that Freddie Strivia is talking about, when you're able to get there and there's cameras recording you doing that kind of stuff, it kind of feeds into the myth, man. Tyson gets special kind of crazy. Yeah, he does. It looks real, says Rican Blues. Yeah. I gotta go back on what I thought. Honestly, anyone that has studied boxing even just a little bit would know Jake wins 95 out of 100. That jab range footwork wins him the fight. Here's the thing, Brayman Bulls. There were many young, good boxers back when Tyson was in his heyday that had a jab and that knew how to box and knew how to do different things. All it took was one punch and it was game over. I'm just saying, man. Never know, though. Could be one of those 5 times tonight. Yeah. Let's go, says Jet Ski. Have you seen any type of results from that MTG? Yes. It's already let me just resume real quick. This MTG that he's talking about is in reference to our latest video where I pretty much am placing this product on one of my dogs and on my girl Spunky. And here, let's play a little clip on it just for those people that haven't had a chance to actually watch it. Let's go ahead and play a little clip. This way y'all can see what I'm talking about. Let me give me a second, guys. This is why Kyle's my man. This is why Kyle, Kyle does his thing when he's here. There you go. All right, let me show you guys. Let me bring it up, share the screen, and pretty much all right, so one of the first things you got to know about MTG, aside from having to wear gloves, is most of the good stuff is at the very bottom, and all you're going to get at the top is oil. If you only apply this, I'm not saying it's not going to work, but you're missing the best part of the treatment, which is right here. So, ironically, you got to shake it around, right? And the coloring is going to let you know how much has been mixed in. There you go. So it's all pretty much gone at the very bottom. That's what you want. And now what we're going to do is we're just pretty much going to soak the area. That's what we're going to do, is we're going to soak the area. Okay. So here we have our girl Spunky. Hold on, sweetie. As you can see, the wounds are nice and clean. Yeah. All right. So now all we're going to do, hold on, baby, is we're going to make sure we soak it in the surrounding area. Right? Real easy to apply, guys. Real simple to apply. Now, I'm going to be applying this once daily. And we're going to come back in about a week to 10 days, and we're going to see how fast these bald patches grow out. In fact, I might just be taking pictures of it daily. There you go. So pretty much, guys, that's what MTG is, and that's what it's used for, is a sulfur-based product that helps with anything going on as far as a hot spot. Now, mind you, it's not going to kill germs. It's not going to kill bacteria. That's not what it's for. But what it is for is to make that hair grow thicker and faster, right? Get the fur over there. Inserata saying the last litter we had is turning 1 year old today. Congrats, Inserata. It was so cool getting their pics from all their families. Yes, that's one of the hardest things, guys, is once the pups go, getting that family that isn't used to taking pictures and videos to actually do that and send them in. Papa Pitt made a video on MTG. That's why I was using it. Well, hey, I didn't know he did. Papa Pitt, if you're listening, nothing but love for you, man. Definitely MTG works. I'm already seeing improvement on my female. Can we put it on ant bites? Here's the reason I would say no, only because it's not an antibacterial. So please don't think that this is an antibacterial. This is for when the infection is gone, and then you put this on top wherever you have missing hair. I know I would rather have Tyson win, but I'm worried due to his age, says Inserata. Inserata, just know one thing. These older guys, right? They can't last as long or all of that. But, I mean, a 50-year-old, 50 to 57-year-old, they'll give you a good 30 seconds of hell. 30 seconds of hell. I'm telling you. Koa Bully Kennel says, great work with your channel. Thanks for sharing your experience. Thank you, Koa. No, nothing but love. Appreciate you. Rican Bully says, yes. Yes. Whoa, my goodness. Man. If it ain't no other than Rixta El Rosquero, the Bully Don, what are natural remedies for cysts in between dog paw webbing? Thank you, brother. Working night shift. I got you, man. For the cysts itself, man, I'm not gonna lie, man. You got me. I haven't had interdigital cysts in my yard, so I haven't really had to research or figure things out. I'm trying to think here in my head, if in the hospital, what did we apply to assist, right? So there's something that's what's it called? Diffusion, laws of diffusion. The way it works is higher concentration will always go to lower concentration, right? So something I would possibly consider putting on there is something made of a high salt content, because salt draws water wherever it is, right? If you eat a lot of salt, guess what? You're not just going to gain weight normally from what you eat, but you're also going to gain a lot of water weight, because the water is going to follow wherever the sodium is. Because when you add sodium, right, it becomes less 100% pure water. So water is always going to follow, right, from higher concentration to less. So that's the way I always remember, man. Let's see here. Rican Blue says it helps with fungal. He's talking about the MTG. And it feels dilute the MTG for maintenance baths. Honestly, I wouldn't dilute it. What I would do, and I actually did it today, is I got a cotton ball, right? And I poured the living heck out of it. And then I just went literally around the wound and in the wound. And I pressed the cotton ball in order to saturate it. It just made it that much easier, man. Adam, it's too oily to dilute. I agree. Gracias, hermano. Been out for a minute, but still rock with you, big dog. Nothing but love, man. Appreciate you. Love that you stopped by. Nuvet will help prevent cyst and MCT. I would say yes, because Nuvet, right? If you guys don't know what Nuvet is, you already know. This is my multivitamin go-to, and this is my joint support DS go-to. So long story short, what this is going to do, right, is going to increase your dog's immune system. So the likelihood that your dog is walking around with a fungal infection is going to be greatly reduced, okay? If your dog is walking around with a fungal infection and say you're giving Nuvet and whatnot, then, man, you got a bigger problem in your hands, because more likely than not, it's either contagious and it's all over the place, or there's a part in your yard that's giving it to your dog. You got a lot of research to do to figure it out, man. Maurice Humble says he's late. Nothing but love, man. Appreciate you. Dilute with liquid coconut oil, says Adam Fields. Okay, I got you, Adam. I get you now. So you're talking about diluting it with another oil. I get it. Hopefully Jake leaves with his ears still on, says it's Sarata. Yeah, that's gonna be very interesting. So let me give you guys a quick update on my kibble testing. So you guys are well aware that we started out with certain bags. I don't know if you watched my last video, but in the last video, I explained how Victor Purple Bag was causing my dogs to break out, right? And so I ended up having to substitute that bag for Pacific Fish, which is not more than salmon, really. Pacific Fish and sweet potato formula, and the allergies immediately went down. The other thing I had to do is yesterday, when I was recording a live, I looked down at Blueberry, and Blueberry was knuckling over. Mind you, they've only been on kibble. Talking about Blueberry and his sister, they've only been on kibble about 10 days, and he's already knuckling over. So immediately, Blueberry and his sister are out of the experiment. Immediately, I've been cooking food for them, and we're not going to play around like that, man. It's unfortunate. And why do you think? Let me ask you guys this. Why do you think my puppy Blueberry? Let me see if we have a picture of Blueberry up in here. I'm sure I do somewhere. I don't. Okay, doesn't matter. Why would a puppy go from when he's eating raw, not knuckling over, to all of a sudden knuckling over within 10 days of being switched to kibble? Can somebody explain that to me? I really want to hear what your thoughts are on that. And Sarata's laughing. Wholesome's has worked wonders with our puppies. Yeah, that's what I was actually feeding Blueberry and Pinky, and it's really working well with the rest of the dogs. But for some reason, he's knuckling over. So for me, that's not good. So why would a puppy that is eating raw and you switch to a kibble, and within 10 days, let's say 2 weeks max, they're now knuckling over? Why? What's causing this? Talk to me, guys. Fredia says, my little boy was 14 years old and NuJoint took them away. Facts, my vet was amazed. Oh, yeah. That NuJoint, along with the Nuvet, is just powerful stuff. Talking homemade dog food, what do you consider essential after protein, fat, vitamin C? Okay, and then you left me in the air. So finish that sentence, please. Ronnie F., too much protein. Adam Fields says it's because of too much protein. I agree with that. I think that one of the main reasons that this is happening is because the higher protein based on what I've seen, guys, and based on my journey, if you go talk to a vet, they'll see it as a myth in their eyes. But to me, The higher the protein, the weaker the tendons, the ligaments, the soft tissue, the cartilage overall becomes. And let me see. Why do you cook it and not just do raw? Okay, Rican, we're going to talk about that here in a second. What are your top 5 essentials for home cooked dog food after protein and fat? Okay, got you. All right. So one of the reasons that I cook it is because there's certain things that you can only give cooked. For example, rice. First thing that comes to my head, right? Rice. I use rice and potatoes extensively. They both must be cooked. In fact, if you gave a dog raw potato, there's a poison in there that could actually kill the dog. So I use rice and potato because the growth hormone and insulin, right, work very similar. However, they're antagonistic to each other. So when one is present, the other one cannot be present in the blood, and vice versa. So if you understand this, you then understand that if you see a pup growing too fast, right, you understand how to slow the growth in order to give that soft tissue a chance to catch up, right? So what I do is I'll go ahead and cook food. We have good amount of rice. For example, today I fed them rice, broccoli, and chicken, right? And I have a good amount of rice. So when that rice is a simple sugar. So it hits the blood, right? Hits the blood pretty quickly. Once you give them that and that sugar hits the blood, once insulin is released, the growth hormone is pretty much put in check. It can't do nothing until that insulin is done doing whatever it's going to do, right? And the same goes with potatoes. Same goes with oatmeal. Now, there's a difference between rice and potatoes, which are simple carbs, fast-acting carbs, and oatmeal, which is it's a complex carbohydrate. It takes your body a little bit of time to break it down. So it keeps that insulin in your blood for a longer period of time. Doesn't give you as high of a spike, but it can lift the sugar just enough to where that growth hormone is in check for a longer period of time, if that makes any sense. The second part of the question is, what are the 5 essentials for home cooked food after protein and fat? Wow, that's a really good question. Well, we all know carbohydrates, protein, and fat, minerals, and vitamins. I'm trying to think of anything else. I think off the top of my head, those are the 5 main essentials. Okay. So basically, if you can grind bone, that'd be great because the calcium and phosphorus work together and it's all there. That's the mineral portion that you're never going to get in just kibble, right? The vitamins, my recommendation is always, it's always a cold pressed vitamin, right? Nuvet is cold pressed. It's not cooked. NuJoint DS is cold pressed. It's not cooked. Why is it? Let me just prove it to you guys. Here you go. This is a wafer. I'm going to break it, open it up, right? It's not cooked, guys. It's not cooked at all. It's just cold pressed. And the reason it's cold pressed is so that it doesn't lose its properties. Now, I've dropped plenty of shorts and I've spoken plenty of times explaining that vitamins usually begin to denature somewhere around 170 degrees Fahrenheit. Kibble is typically cooked up to 350 degree Fahrenheit, sometimes even more, because that's the way you get the moisture out of the kibble in order for it to have shelf life, right? But when that happens, when you denature, it means that it's losing a lot of its properties. So that vitamin C you threw there initially, it's no longer what it was when you threw it in there, if that makes any sense, right? It's almost like a raw egg you put on a frying pan. 5 minutes later, the egg white goes from transparent to white. That protein denatured. Now, You can feed that to your dog, but raw eggs are always going to be slightly better than that fried egg, because that fried egg, the protein and the vitamins and everything else in there has been denatured. All right. I put this litter on wholesomes instead of raw, and the only thing I wanted to see was a difference on parasites. This litter tested negative for the last 3 months. Oh, for sure. For sure. Parasites, I mean, when you feed kibble, are going to be non-existent as long as you don't have like little water puddles that they could drink in or whatever. Adam Field says, I don't use rice, but potatoes and sweet potatoes, they're good, are good simple carbs that can cut the protein. Absolutely. Great for pups that haven't had their bones sealed. Yeah, I agree with that statement. Rican Blue says, a dog does not require carbohydrates. Very little fiber is needed. I don't know, man. I want to agree and disagree. And here's why. I agree that dogs are carnivores. And I agree that the main part of, say, a wolf's diet is going to be protein and fat, right? However, the fact of the matter is we can't just say that, because the prey that a wolf often gets is usually a herbivore or a combination, an omnivore. Therefore, whenever they're eating something that they caught, they're eating also the stomach contents, guys. So how about opportunistic herbivores or omnivores? And that just means, by random chance, they're getting some in their diet. But I wouldn't say that carbohydrates are a complete zero. I get your point. It mostly doesn't need it. I get it. Adam Field says cottage cheese is a great complex protein. Absolutely. Absolutely. If you want to beef up your dog, say there's a dog show in, say, 6 weeks, about a month out, I would probably start giving them cottage cheese, especially at night before they go to bed. Because what happens is cottage cheese, being a complex protein, takes time, right, for it to get out of the system, if you will. In other words, it lasts longer in your blood. It's bioavailable for a longer period of time. And so the dog, it becomes more resistant to going into the catabolic state, which is the breakdown of muscle into basic amino acids. And it kind of stays in an anabolic state, which is grabbing the amino acids in order to make muscle, right? David says, have you ever tried Value Pack Black Bag of Kibble 2820? That's what I use. I have not, Jeremy, and maybe I should, because I've had quite a few people talk to me about Value Pack. I don't trust kibble. I could care less of his origin, because everybody loves talking to me about origin. And I always tell people, do you want to know what's a better dog food than origin? Yeah. Go to Walmart and they sell these 10-pound bags. 10-pound bags of chicken quarters for $5.72. Yeah, that's better. That's better, and that's fresh. Regan Blue says the stomach content is fiber, not carbohydrates. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. A rat, a mouse, I don't know, man. They could be eating wheat. They could be eating corn. They could be eating rice, depending what part of the world you're in. I wouldn't necessarily say that there's no carbohydrates there. Do you recommend soaked or raw rolled oats? Guys, I get the basic, what is it? Steel cut. I believe it's called steel cut oats. That's what I use. Quaker costs you what, $2, I think, a big old a big box. Pre and probiotics. How about wellness? I'm not sure of your question, Ronnie. If you could rephrase it, I would appreciate that. Here, let me bring this up. So here's the thing, guys. Like my girl, for example, my girl Sunshine over here, right? So if you see her in this picture, this was a week before going to the show. Right about now, she's probably 20% heavier than she is in that picture. And that was, in my opinion, having to do directly with um, putting them on kibble, right? I think that the fat content, but more importantly, the protein content is triggering the IGF-1, which is the mammalian growth hormone, and it's made these pups grow like stupid fast to the point where I can tell you, if you were going into a dog show and you had about 2 weeks out and say you were feeding raw, I would say go ahead and feed kibble, because the difference is night and day in a matter of 2 or 3 weeks. Here's the problem, though. It's cool right now to solve your issue if you're going to a dog show. But when you redo that the following month and the month after that, the dog has no choice but to gain additional unwanted weight that may cause orthopedic issues or even health issues. Cora says, is it possible that sire and dam with short upper thighs can produce pups with correct rear angulation if the 2 generations behind sire and dam have good angulation? Here's the thing, Cora. Here's the thing, bud. So here's the deal. Can it happen? Yes, it can happen. In genetics, the answer is always yes. It can happen. Is it likely? That's the question. Is it likely? And the answer to that, in my opinion, is it's not likely, which means that maybe out of a 10 pup litter, you might get 1 or 2 outliers that have correct reangulation, where the thigh, the femur is not too short, right? Just hear me out. So here's the thing. You have 2 dogs that are pulling each from a pool of dogs or a bloodline that has correct rear angulation. Here's the thing, though. Each individual dog, this is why you can't just breed blindly genetically. You have to also put it together with phenotypical, right? With the phenotype. If they both have a short femur and you're pairing them together, right? The likelihood is that that's where the allele frequency is going to lie. And therefore, you're always going to get an outlier, right? Or 2. But more likely than not, the allele frequency, which is the frequency of the marker in the gene at the exact place, right, is probably going to be shorter femur for mom and shorter femur for dad when they get together. That's the likelihood. I'm not saying that it can't happen. I'm saying it can happen. But, there's a reason why mom's femur is short and dad's femur is short. They probably pulled from a great grandfather that you probably can't be seeing, or I don't know. Bottom line is, if you have 2 dogs that are east-west and the line behind them all have straight feet, then you would have to say to yourself, are you feeding correctly? Are you the one causing it? Is it environmental? If it's neither of those 2 things, then if you pair those 2 dogs together, more likely than not, the majority of the pups are going to be east-west, right? That's how that rolls, man. Wellness, the kibble brand. No, I take it back. I did try that once. I don't remember the results I had, though. It's been a while. It's been a long, long while. Rican Blue says, have you heard of Dr. Ian Billinghurst, creator of the barf diet? Yes, I have. Rican Blues, I get you, bro. I get you. But keep in mind, even the barf diet has a tiny percentage of fruit, right, that you're able to add. Not only that, say you get a chicken quarter, right, and you're feeding it to a dog, right? You can't just feed chicken quarters with the bone and the fat and protein to a dog. You're going to have to give them as well vitamins in order for them to be able to absorb and break these things down. If you feed them nothing but protein and fat for an extended long period of time without that little bit of vegetables, which may have some sugars in it, or fruit, you could be running into an unbalanced issue in the long run. There's a reason for it, right? And again, I agree with you. They shouldn't be based on sole carbohydrates. Now, got to realize we're talking about wolves. Now, when we're talking about designer dogs, right, which is any dog bred by man is a designer dog, and you're talking about the American Bully, which is a companion breed, and it's a breed more for show than anything else, then yes, I'm going to trump all that. I'm going to give carbohydrates to slow down the growth. That's what I'm going to do, right? If you don't want to do that, I get it, man, and I agree with what you're saying about barf diet and raw diet and all that, but you got to understand, I'm using it as a mechanism to slow down the growth, right? Freddie Stravia is saying, Sunshine looking good. She's looking great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Fredia. Kim Martin says, first time listening to you. So much knowledge, information. Can I get a shout out to Kimmy K? Kimmy K, shout out to you. Nothing but love, sweetheart. Thanks for joining us. RGB says, value pack first ingredient is chicken byproduct meal. Second ingredient, pork meal. Third, whole grain rice. Okay. Yeah, maybe that's why I don't want to try it. Here's the thing. I've already done plenty of videos on kibble. Whenever it says meal, it gets a little dicey, bro. Like if you were to say you got kibble, right? And on the bag it says, say, chicken is the first product. And when you go read on the label, it says chicken. That's usually better than when it says chicken meal. Right? Chicken meal. Chicken meal, it could be the skin of the chicken intertwined with a muscle. Could be more skin than muscle. I mean, it could get pretty complicated, man, pretty complex. You could only imagine that's where companies can cut corners. That's usually how they do it. Malachi says, my boy who was once cowhocked has finally come correct after his rear beefed up and whined out a bit. The lanky stage is rough. And I agree. Lanky stage is rough. I will say, let me see how many off the top of my head. I want to say, okay, so a slight high rear on, say, a 1-year-old or a soon-to-be 1.5-year-old male or female, for me, it's not the end of the world. It really isn't. And that's because when that rear widens, right, and you have more accessory muscles helping, what the tendency is for that rear to come down. Okay. And also when it comes down, you get a little bit more rear angulation. It's more noticeable when the dog is in movement than when it's stacked, because when you stack it, you can stack a dog to make it look like it's got good rear angulation, and yet when it's in movement, you realize that it still needs a little bit more. So yeah, definitely, man. Whenever they pop and those back muscles and accessory rear muscles kick in, man, they really help out. Byproducts are terrible for you and your dogs. I couldn't agree. Low key says, do you worry about breeding dogs with CRD4? Low key, I don't. Let me rewind. I could take precautions, but I'm not necessarily worried. The reason for that is because I've already contacted Embark several times on this and on CRD1 as well. It turns out that CRD4 and CRD1 are prevalent. I think mostly, off the top of my head, I want to say Labradors and Golden Retrievers. If I'm wrong, I don't know. Correct me. Fact check it, somebody. Anyways, my point is we are part of a composite breed, and not just a composite breed that has different classes, right? And so the reason I'm mentioning that is because if Golden Retriever, Labrador, or whatever else is what's carries it and actually it can actually show the illness if two dogs pair, what happens is when they meet our breed, those long DNA strands, right? They get chopped up, and some of them get taken out and replaced with bulldog, right? DNA strands, and with, pit or Staffordshire Terrier DNA strands. And what happens is you don't have a continuous, right, DNA strand like the ones that you would have with those breeds that suffer from those things. And therefore, that's the advantage of having a composite dog breed, is that a lot of those DNA strands of whatever's crossed gets chopped up. Some of them get taken out and replaced with others. And then when that DNA strand is read, you might need, let's just say from 1 to 10, you need numbers 1 through 10. And, when the body goes to read it, it's you got a 1 and you have a 3 and you have a 5, a 7, and a 9, but you're missing the 2, 4, 6, 8. It no longer affects. And that's the best way that I can explain it. When are you starting your pocket bully program? Oh man, Koa. Here's the deal, man. I'm trying to breed the pockets also to our standards, to create a gene pool within my yard that I can pull from in order to try and make XLs that look more like what the breed standard is illustrated as by the ABKC. Do I ship semen internationally? I can. What I don't ship internationally is puppies. Rican Blue says, I understand. I feed chicken backs, chicken feet, sardines, lung, heart, liver, pumpkin, and some spinach, sometimes blueberries. There you go, Rican. Yeah. So, that pumpkin and even spinach and blueberries, they got their trace. Well, blueberries are definitely going to have carbs, but you know what I'm saying, man. Just small amounts is what you're feeding. Gyra Grimm says, how much different it is with the standard and pocket pups compared to XLs? I'm not sure of your question, but as far as in my opinion, guys, again, this is just my opinion and my journey. I think the XLs, the gene pool of the XL is maybe 50, and this is just me, and in my opinion, 50, 40% different than that of standards. That's just my opinion. The breed type you're seeing on standards, you're just not seeing that with XLs. And again, I mean, I hate to sit here and talk about it, but XLs, whether we like it or not, they were crossed with Mastiffs. And I know there's a lot of people that want to refute that and don't want to admit it. Blah blah blah. That's fine. Whatever their agenda is. The fact of the matter is, you could just look at the dog and you're looking at a Mastiff with bully ear crop. So to me, I can tell you I've bred XLs now for close to 10 years. I feel I've improved my line of XLs, but I've come to the conclusion that in order to assimilate what's there, illustrated by the ABKC, you can't have Mastiff. Mastiffs, they elongate the femurs, man, the legs, the extremities, better yet. Also, you get a lot of rear angulation issues, right? Whenever you include Mastiff into your lines, you have back issues. I mean, it's just nothing against Mastiffs, but if you're trying to get close to the standard, in my opinion, you got to get away from that. Adam says, look at wolves' life expectancy in the wild versus captivity, right? Yeah, I could only imagine in the wild because of all the parasites and everything else they got to be dealing with. Mike Tyson, second round knockout. Okay. You heard it here first from Furman Broom. Anna Field says, make XLs look like standards again. Yeah. So let me ask you guys this. Because a lot of times I talk about how I want to create XLs that represent more of the standard pocket class, right? And mind you, I agree. Standards look different than pockets. I get it. All right, I get it. My question to you guys is, those of you that either own a pocket or follow pockets or standards for that matter, or classics, when you look at the XLs, what do you normally when you're flipping through your phone and you see XLs, what normally comes to your mind? Is it, what are these people thinking? I mean, I don't know, man. Just tell me what you think whenever you see XLs. Do you think XLs hold up a candle to, say, pockets as far as breed type? Do they hold a candle to standards as far as breed type? Let me know. I really want to know what you guys think. Adam Field says that's what his bet is. Ronnie F says, I want to pay for a stud credit on Blueberry. Already that boy looking good. Ronnie F. Yeah, man. Blueberry. Here's what's crazy, man. Today I was doing a live from the yard and caught Blueberry 2 times trying to hump. And that's what I get for rooming him together with Patron there for a little bit. Patron is Sunshine's brother, and he's trying to hump everything that moves, man. RGB says, Gyro Grim, did you mean on temperament and care? Yeah. No, he meant like growth-wise. Okay. I'm not sure, Gyro Grim. Let me go back to your question. How much different is the stand? Yes. Okay. So what changes in growth between pockets and standards and XLs is it's quite appalling. I'm going to tell you why here in a second. Like, for example, typical XL females, they're not going to have their first period. Now, there's always an exception to the rule, but somewhere around the earliest I think I've ever seen is 8 months and closer to the year. So it could be 10 or 11 months. That's usually when they have their first period. Pockets, nah. I can tell you we had Daisy Duke running around here, and she was, when she first got here, she was like 7 months old. No, I take it back. She was 4 months old, and about 3 months after that, she had her first period. So around 7 months. So just there alone, you're already seeing differences. Pockets are going to mature faster than standards. Standards are going to mature faster than XLs. Again, there could be exceptions, so don't shoot me. I'm just giving you a general rule. XLs usually take longer than most to fully grow. Rican Blue says there's some nice XLs out there. I believe meets the standards, looking more bully than mastiff, especially in the UK. Yeah, again, man, there are outliers, but let's not lie to ourselves. In general, you could put whatever number you want. Out of 10 posts, you could say 9, 8, or 7 don't necessarily look like the standard. I mean, or look like they've been influenced with something. It's what I'm trying to get at, man. Malachi says, I think I've caught myself being so hyper fixated on having the perfect pup. And then I remember he's 5 months old, XL. Our class has the longest growth rate, the weirdest growth phases and stages. Yes, especially that lanky stage on the XL. Lanky stage can be brutal for the XLs. Not saying it can't be brutal for standards. I don't know if pockets even go through a lanky stage, guys, because my girl Daisy Duke, for the time I had her here, I never saw a lanky stage. I never did. And every time I see her posted up in a video or whatnot, I don't see a lanky stage. Quail Bully Kennel says, what exercise do you recommend to correct outward rotation on dogs whose shoulders haven't popped fully, elbows slightly tight? Ooh, good question. Well, I was actually looking at, it's funny you say that because I have a dog that has a similar issue, and I was looking for something online today and I forget the name of it. That's why I'm kind of trying to see if I have it here on search. Let me see. Hold on. I want to give you the answer. Mind you, I haven't tried this. So Paul, that's what it's called. Paul Pods, right? Paul Pods. Um, I don't know. I would do my research on Paul Pods because here's the thing: when you're saying that the dog hasn't fully popped, in reality, you may be like, I don't know, throwing water at the ocean. And what I mean by that is it's biomechanic, or the way it's going to move, it's going to automatically shift once the shoulders come in, right? Um, this is why I always tell people keep your dogs light. This way you don't shift any bones or anything while the dog is growing. Let the dog fully pop. Once it's fully popped, then you go ahead and add weight. It's a good question, Koa. I wish I could give you an answer, but honestly, for me, if I see a dog, for example, that he's slight east west, and I notice his shoulders haven't popped, and say the elbows are slightly tight, I wouldn't stress over it, right? Because in my mind, if the breeding that I paired or I got the puppy from, if both dogs have good shoulders, good wide shoulders, then it's just a matter of it coming in. Um, I can't sit here and tell you what exercise to do because honestly, I've never had to do that or haven't done that. Um, and again, if I see a dog that hasn't popped that's having these issues, I wouldn't stress over it because I know as soon as they pop, the biomechanic is going to change. Now, once the dog pops and you got the issue, yeah, there's a decision that's got to be made. Malachi says, I believe what I'm trying to get at is that it's really just harder to tell in general what you got with XLs early on, with the exception of beasts. Malachi, you're absolutely right. It is a lot harder to tell what you have with an XL than, say, a pocket. I could tell you Blueberry, very little has changed. When my girl Daisy Duke was here, very little changed. From one moment to the next, she got a little bit wider, muscles were coming in. That was about it. With XLs, they're going to grow up for about a year to 14 months. Then they're going to get wide. Then the head's going to fully come in. And so, yeah, truly, you don't know what you have until you're around 36 months. I mean, truly, if you really want to, Adam Field says certain bloods have too much mastiff in them in the XL class. Yep, I agree with that. Jared Grimm says, yes, this lanky stage, my boy, just 10 months and he's lanky. Yeah. Yeah. I will also say this, though. I've seen, and I don't have that picture anymore. I had a picture here of Power at 7 months, but, he passed away. And to respect to him, I've taken all of his pictures down. But I can tell you, if I was to show you a picture of Power at 7 months and then at 24 months, you wouldn't believe me. You wouldn't believe it's the same dog. If it wasn't for the markings that you see on the dog, you would not believe it's the same dog. So, it sucks to be in the lanky stage, but once you get out of it, it could actually be good. Could actually be real good. Jared Grimm says, Malachi, because the shorter twos, hold on. There is so much more dogs in other classes that just are born beasts. I can agree with that. Jared Grimm says, Malachi, because the shorter too, so it's easier to fill out. Because they're shorter too, I guess. Rican Blue says, depending on the line, especially Razor's Edge dogs go through lanky stage, takes longer to pop. I agree with that. Right now, and look, this is not XL. This is standard. I have Oreo and Tatanka. I do have a picture of them. Here's Tatanka. Okay. So here's little old Tatanka when I first got him from Gaines Bullies. And he has Waffle House blood, and he's been telling me, hey, it's gonna take a while for it to come in. So look at that. Then that's standard blood. That's not Excel. So Annafield says there's so many variables that go into raising a great dog. This is true. Bully Kennel says top tips to puppy selection at 10, 12 weeks, looking for signs of confirmation. Top tips. All right. So first top tip that I'm going to give you on pups 10 to 12 weeks is I want you to see or picture, or if you're able to be there in person and see them all, I want you to see every pup in the litter. And I want you to, in your mind, kind of place an average of what you're seeing. Okay. The reason I want you to place an average is because what's going to happen is in that litter, there's probably going to be two puppies on both ends, one on the higher end and one on the lower end. That's really going to catch your eye, that you're going to immediately say, okay, this one pup is completely heads over heels better than the rest of the pups. This other pup is a disaster compared to the rest of the pups, right? So what I'm trying to say is in every litter, you're going to get outliers. So also depending on the breeding. So if you're looking at, say, a standard to XL breeding, more likely than not, you're going to get 2 or 3 pups that are going to be huge. And then you're going to get the middle of the pack, a good 5 or 4 pups that are just going to be less bigger than those. And then you might get 1 or 2 that are smaller, right? So the outliers is usually what I try to stay away from. The reason that I try to stay away from outliers is because typically that's where, again, this all depends what you're looking for. Typically, that's where you got more of a hybrid, right? That's where hybrid vigor lies mostly, right? I always try to see where the consistency lies in the litter. Now, mind you, it's kind of hard sometimes because I could care less what litter you're talking about. There are times that you're going to have twins within a litter. You're going to find pairs of pups that are going to have the same color and the same structure, and they're going to look eerily similar compared to the rest of the litter that may not even look like them, right? My point is I would try and find consistency, try to find the 4 or 5 puppies where it's mostly consistent, right? And then that's number one. And then you identify the other ones as outliers. Now, if you could care less about it having hybrid vigor and you want to get yourself an outlier, then by all means. But if you want me to give you tips, that would probably be one of the first tips. The next tip that I would probably want to see, I probably would have wanted to see first is I want to see the puppies around mom. That's what I want to see. I want to see the puppies around mom, and I want to see the type of mom they have. First, I want to see if the mom is recovered from giving birth. And second, I want to see how she acts around the puppies, right? Because that's going to tell you a lot as to what you're bringing home. The first impression the puppies are going to get about life in general is coming straight from the mom. Also, she's the only one that passes the mitochondrial DNA to puppies. Therefore, if she's feeble or weak or sickly, what are we dealing with, right? So if you're looking, say, for a boned up pup, right? I would largely tell you to stay away from what you see because things are about to puppies can change from 1 week to 10 days to another. They could go from being just yay tall and everything looks nice, short, and compact. And then they grow that extra 1/4 of an inch or whatever, and everything looks a little bit longer than what it needs to be. So the best place to kind of get an idea, and again, there is no 100%, is going to be the base of the tail. Okay. And you want to look at the paws, base of the tail and paws, and try to, the girth of the base of the tail versus the other pups. Look at the size of the paws. That's going to give you a little bit of an idea as well. What else can I tell you? If you're seeing a short femur at 10 to 12 weeks, you could pretty much hang it up. If you're seeing too long of a femur, you could pretty much hang it up. I don't know what it is about femurs, but here's the thing. I think the skeletal system is one of those things that it's has to deal with polygenetic chains that could be, I don't know. You're dealing with so many variables and so many and so many parts, right? Moving parts. In particular, for bone lengths, it is I've found that it can be difficult. Now, I will say this, and this my boy Fireball taught me. See, when I first got Fireball, I had a large XXL female who was not the cleanest, and I needed to reset her. Okay, I needed to reset her bone lengths. She had different bone lengths in the rear extremities versus the front, so on and so forth. I bred to this guy right here, Fireball, and he reset bone lengths for me. Okay. What I found is that shorter dogs have a tendency to correct the bone lengths. Now, there's other variables that go into this. Who's got the higher koi and how much higher is it? If it's similar koi, I've seen a dog like Fireball do wonderful things. If it's a female that's, walking around like a Great Dane and she's got a koi of 40, yeah, you pretty much need to get yourself another female, in my opinion. You're just going to spin your wheels trying to fix that, man. That's what I look for on a puppy that stays consistent as RGB. A massive blood, the weight, there's nothing like 200-pound bully. Yeah, man. You have to understand. You have to understand this, guys. When I first came on the scene for American Bullies, that is, 10 years ago, first of all, everybody was lying on Facebook. They still do, about how much their dog weighs. But it was a big deal to say, I have a 140-pound bully, 150, 160. That was the culture the culture's way of marketing, if you will. Size of the head and the weight of the dog. That's all people cared about. It didn't matter if the dog had one foot facing this way and the other one facing straight. It didn't matter. It didn't matter if they put dogs, with the paws on a log. They disregard that altogether. Dude, there's a reason why they're putting the dog with the paws on the log. And there's a reason why they're taking a picture on slanted ground, guys. They could care less. If the head is 40 inches and the dog weighs 183, that's what made up marketing back in the day, man. Ronnie F talking about my boy Tatanka as a little tugboat. Yes. Yes. Okay. What about cankles, like Mr. Green said? Cankles. Here's the thing. Cankles in the bully world is what people are after. They're after the bone coming down all the way down to the paw and not thinning out, remaining thick, or remaining wide, better yet. That's what people are after, man. Koa Bully Kennel says you got to start a breeder mentorship program. I already did, Koa. Right here on this channel where you're dropping these comments, if you go to our homepage, you're going to find here. I'll show you. Better yet. Yeah. Okay. Let me go to the homepage. All right. So say you was to go to our homepage, right? This is what you're going to see. This is the homepage, right? Right. I just zoomed in. If you want to order Nuvet, you have your code up there. But if you wanted to become a member, you also have the code here if you wanted to order. If you want to become a member, all you got to do is click on membership, right? And here I'm just showing members. Like members, I see what you do. I see how many people are voting and all that good stuff. But here, you would be able to choose what level you want. The highest mentorship level we have is the mentorship level gold. And with it, you get 2 consults a month. Um, that mentorship goes for $39.99. Mind you, my consults, if you're not a member, I'm going to charge you $100 a pop. So if you become mentorship level gold, not only are you saving, but in addition, you get two 15-minute consults, so you can make into one 30-minute consult if you wanted to. In addition, you can also text me about whatever, bro. And I could care less what time it is. I'm going to try to be there and answer you. You can call me. I've had people call me in the middle of the night, 2 a.m. My dog's giving birth. 3 puppies came out. It's been 45 minutes since the 3rd one. What do I do? And, we get into it. So it's up to you guys. If it's something that, you want, it is there for you to have. But yeah, I have found that adding bone, changing shapes, in particular changing shapes, is a very difficult thing to do. You're not going to do it in just one generation, guys. It's not going to happen. It's just not. If you have a dog with a short femur, not going to happen in one generation. You're probably going to have to breed to a dog that resets bone. In my case, for example, I would have bred to my boy Fireball, right? And then turn right back around and breed a Fireball son back to that particular offspring, or inbreed Fireball. One of the main misconceptions that people have, in my opinion, is that you breed to a stud one time and that's it. You got what you needed. It doesn't necessarily work that way unless that stud is within the line of your dog, right? If your dog and that stud share the same bloodline, then yes, I agree that more likely than not, all you've done is promulgated that line within your yard, right? But say there's a golden stud, right? Let's call it the golden stud, and he's a complete outcross to your yard. My opinion is make plans to use that stud more than once. Whether if you have 2 females in your yard, you could use it on both females and then have half sibling breedings if you wanted to. Then auntie could breed. You could crisscross it so many different ways. Or have that stud breed to your one female and then breed again to its offspring. Or, there's just so many ways to combine it. But to just use that stud one time and think that that's it, you're good, that you could breed whatever else you want and that stud's blood is going to stand out. That's not the way. That's not the way breeding works. Jair Grimm saying, with 305, how would you have gained bone? This is an excellent question. I'm going to tell you why. Recently, I saw a breeding between a boned up, beefed up male going into a female that looked like she wasn't even a reindeer. She looked more like a ballerina, right? And I get what that breeder's trying to do. He's trying to bring mass and he's trying to bring bone. In my opinion, that's not how you do it. And I'm going to tell you how I would do it. So 305 is a dog that doesn't have thick bone. He's got what I would call medium bone, or he's in the transition of getting there, but he's definitely not thick boned. And he's definitely not light boned either, right? So a dog like 305, I would dare to take to a female that's heavy boned, right? Because I find that 305 is like in the middle. So you have light bone here, you have like medium bone here, right? You're not light, but you're definitely not heavy bone, but you're somewhere in the middle. And then you got heavy bone over here, right? So I would never breed a female that's got this type of light bone to this heavy bone in one shot. That's almost like crossing an F-150 and a Ferrari. It's just, you're not going to get a good result. So the way to do it is I would go with a really light bone to a medium bone, establish that, and then once you got that, then you graduate and you move over and you breed to bigger bone. So the way I would do 305 is the way I just explained. I would breed 305 to a heavier bone female because I feel he's got middle. If he had lighter bone, I wouldn't do that. Because then you're going to have these dogs that have big old head, big shoulders, and they got these little chicken legs, right? And then, on top of that, they have all these pasturing issues, and it's never worked out well. Adam Fields reminding everyone that QBN Kennel's Nuvet code is 513237. If you don't believe in the product, or you think I'm only trying to sell you the product, do yourself a favor and check out Fireball when he was 12 weeks old, when he was 15 weeks old. Check it out when he was 20 weeks old. Literally, I was causing east-west because I was just feeding Victor. Nothing but Victor. Victor, 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 Victor. And that's all I fed. And mind you, it is at that point I decided to change his diet, and you could already see improvement on the picture right next to it. By the time he was 1 year old, he was already clear and clean. And by 2.5, it doesn't get more correct than that. And present day, I mean, I go live a lot. I show people Fireball a lot. And, irregardless, people like to say, well, it's genetics. Well, here's the deal, bro. You need genes. You do need genes. You need nutrition, and you need exercise, and you also need rest. You need those 4 things in order to maximize, the dog's potential, right? If you're missing any one of those 4, you're unbalanced, and it may not allow the dog to reach its full potential. So let me give you an example. Say I was to grab 2 dogs that were identical twins. And I grabbed one and I put him in a little bird cage, tiny little bird cage. He can't even, nothing. He can't do nothing. Only thing in that bird cage he's got is, his little wiener and his butt, or we made holes so he could pee and poop out of there. Doesn't even have to get out of the cage. Then I got another dog. I give him 2 acres to run in on, and I feed them both exactly the same. What do you think is going to happen, bud? You said it's genetics. Right? So it doesn't matter what you feed, doesn't matter where you're at, doesn't matter how you feel, right? They should be identical after about a year. Yeah, I guarantee you the one in the bird cage is not going to grow. It's going to have all sorts of freaking issues. But genetically, based on your theory, you could feed a dog inside of a bird cage and genetics is going to flourish because it's all genetics. It's not. There's more to it than that, guys. So just keeping it real with you, man. Let me see. Raul, do you have a solution for international Nuvet buyers? I don't, Koa. Unfortunately, I don't, man. A year ago, I went to Ireland. I had 860 new orders over there. I was trying to get the company to get them to come, to ship it or whatnot. Just didn't happen. Adam Fields says, as far as I know, Nuvet is only available in U.S. and Canada. This is true. What do you think about cloning dogs, Raul? Adam, it's funny you say that, man, because I'm into I read a lot about genetics, right? And so cloning is genetics. And so, what I found out, I was always under the perception that you could clone a dog 100% of itself. And it's not true. There's always a tiny fraction that doesn't, for whatever reason. So you could clone a dog 99.99%, right? But you're just not going to get 100%. It's crazy, man, because people are now cloning dogs. They You grab a hair, right? You grab a hair from the dog. They're able to put it through something, extract the DNA from it, and shoot it inside of an ovum, which I bet you guys didn't know the follicular, right? Follicular, right? Hormone and whatnot. They're the ones, or that's the one, that hormone is the one that stimulates the ovaries to release eggs. It tells you that really we come from hair, right? Or actually our DNA, right? And the hormones, the chain linked hormones, it all comes from hair, hair based. This is why a while back, I started realizing that when my females took, so what do you do? What do I do, right, to tell before time whether my female became pregnant or not? There's two basic things I do, right? After I've bred the female, usually about 2 weeks later is when I really start trying to take notice. I start trying to see if one, urination frequency and concentration, more importantly, concentration, and also defecation concentration. If they poop and it smells like the world is coming to an end, is unusually normal. Abnormal for the dog to poop with that type of smell. It's usually a good sign because you got these other little parasites inside of the dog, right? Called babies that are puppies that are eating away and she's pooping for them, essentially. The other thing I used to do back in the day was I used to look at the hair, right? The hair talks to you. The hair, again, the hormones that have to do with reproduction have a lot to do with the hair. So nothing. I had just gotten in this trip where I would look at the females and try to tell just based on the hair without looking at the poop or the urine if they took or not. And to my surprise, I was pretty accurate. Now, it could have been luck. I don't have any scientific information to prove that, except that, follicular stimulating hormone, look it up. Definitely has to do with reproduction. Yeah, environmental, right? That's what I'm saying. Rican Blues. You grab a dog, you grab two identical dogs, and you take one to the equator, and you take the other one to Antarctica, right? And if he's able to live through the freezing cold weather, and the other one's able to live through the hot tropics, if you come back 2 years later, they're not going to look similar, right? They're not going to look similar. Yeah, genetically, there's going to be something that they're going to look alike, but they both are going to have to adapt to their environment, right? So don't ever look, know this. You could have a dog, you could get a puppy that has straight feet like I did with Fireball, right? And parents are 100% correct, and the grandparents are 100% correct. But you start feeding this puppy that crappy kibble where the vitamin C denatures at 170 degrees, and therefore they're cooking at 500 degrees. So you're really getting denatured vitamin, right? That isn't working. Vitamin C, in my opinion, is the most important vitamin that a mammal needs, because with vitamin C, you're able to repair your body, right? Without that, we don't realize it, but there's micro tears happening consistently at all times, right? With us, if you're not able to heal that, the results could be pretty devastating. My whole point is you could actually cause east-west in a dog by the way you feed it. Also, where you keep it, right? Environmental factors play into it. I told you guys, I said genes, nutrition, exercise, and sleep. These 4 things are necessary for any and every dog to maximize their potential. Jared Grimm says, pull chicken skin off chicken now. Okay. RGB says, every time I hear cloning a dog, I immediately think Pet Cemetery. Oh, my goodness. Koa says, selecting pup. Two litter outliers are shorter in height and shorter back with equal or better angulation than the average. All else is equal. Is it still risky to select the outliers in that case? Ah, Cole, you bringing it tonight, man. You're bringing it tonight. All right, let's break it down again. Selecting a pup. All right. Two litter outliers are shorter in height and shorter back with equal or better angulation than the average. All else is equal. Is it still risky to select the outliers in that case? Here's the thing. I've had litters. I've had consistent litters where, first of all, pups were taking turns as to who was the biggest and who was the smallest. What I mean is, like, once they were taking off mom on day 24, a week later, say on day 24, when I took them away from mom, there was a biggest pup and a smallest pup, right? You come back a week later, day 31, that biggest pup is now the second or third biggest, and that smallest pup is somewhere in the middle. It's no longer the smallest pup. So what I'm trying to say is, are you catching the litter where these fluctuations are happening, or are those two smaller pups significantly smaller? Significantly smaller. I'm not talking about just shorter in height. I'm talking about thinner bone. I'm talking about the base of the tail being thinner, that sort of thing. And if you're able to ask the breeder if those two puppies have consistently been smaller throughout the rest of the litter. Why is that? Because one of the things that gets people caught up a lot of times, thank you, Adam Fields, number love, man. Number love. One of the things that gets people caught up is if they're looking at a preemie or you're looking at a what's the term for this? The runt, right? So to me, right, the runt. If you've ever watched the movie Twins, let me see if I can bring it up here so you guys can crack up a little bit. If you look at the movie Twins, this is a movie that was made a long time ago with Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and they're supposed to be twins. Here, let me bring it up so you can see what I'm talking about. So here you go. There you go. So this is the movie Twins, right? So in this movie, supposedly there was like some sort of experimentation, scientific experimentation or whatever. And Arnold Schwarzenegger, the bigger of the two, got all the good genes, and Danny DeVito got stuck with all the bad genes, right? So to me, Danny DeVito in this particular situation is a true runt, right? Is a true runt. Whereas sometimes you do get puppies that are smaller, and I call them preemies, but let me clear something up. There's people that think, and I was one of them a while back. There's people that think that because a female has a 5-day window, which she does, of being able to ovulate and having her eggs fertilized, that the puppy that's born on the first day of her cycle versus the puppy that's born on the last day of her cycle, there's a 4-day or a 3-day difference between the two, right? And therefore, this one's going to develop more than this one. So, based on a lot more studying that I've done from a while back, I learned that typically what happens is that the position of the placenta has everything to do with the size of the pups at the time of birth, because there's going to be pups whose placenta is going to be right on the wall of the uterus. And then there's going to be an overlapping placenta on top of it. Well, that overlapping placenta is not getting 100% of the nutrients because it has one underneath that's sucking away at the nutrients. This one on top may only be getting 40% of the nutrients that it needs. So at the time of birth, it's going to look like a preemie. It's going to look underdeveloped, right? Typically, by the time 10 or 12 weeks rolls around, that preemie should have shown something, right? Like it's caught up. Might not be right where they're at, but it's caught up. That's usually a good sign that you're looking at a preemie and not a runt. The other thing I really look at, say they're 10 weeks old, right? What I'll look at is the teeth. If those smaller pups, when you look at the teeth, they look less developed than the bigger pups, more likely than not, you're looking at that one puppy that we're referring to as a preemie. Okay. But if that smaller pup, the teeth are as developed as the bigger pups, that's no bueno. That more likely than not, you're looking at a runt. Usually the runt is very feeble. It just looks like it's sickly. Okay. But even if they took great care of it, they can't hide its teeth. If the teeth are fully developed or as developed as the bigger pups, then more likely than not, I'll probably shy away from that. Or hello from Oregon, Fuerza American Bulldogs. We got G-Line. What up? What up? What's up, man? He was a pocket. He was an exotic. I'm not sure who he's talking about, but it's all good, man. Thank you for joining us. So again, guys, I'm gonna ask you this. Because I asked it before, but I'm gonna ask it again. My boy Blueberry, right? And by the way, I've gotten a good amount of blowback, if you want to call it that. I've had a couple of people reach out to me, and I'm trying to load this video so I can show you guys. I've had a couple of people reach out to me, and pretty much, man, you know how it is. You know, people, in my opinion, they have to find a reason to complain. And they're saying that what I've done is blasphemous, that I'm making a music video of my dog, and that at the end of the day, the poor dog, the way I'm referring to it. And honestly, and usually I consider myself to have good foresight. What I'm talking about here is I felt, all right, so let me give you a little background story. Otherwise, you won't understand. So last weekend, I drove all the way to Kansas and I came back. I went to pick up a female I bought, and we drove back. This female is not in my yard. She's going to be in Kyle's yard, right? So I was driving her back, and when I was driving her back, I had nothing better to do for 10 hours, right, than to think of a song, right? And so I actually went to downloaded an app with artificial intelligence where you put the lyrics in and it'll sing you a song. And so I started putting this song together for my boy Blueberry, right? And I posted it, and I can tell you within the last week, I've had at least 10 people reach out to me and tell me they're no longer following us because of how I am not disrespecting, but how I'm portraying my puppy Blueberry. And I'm like, look, guys, the words I wrote, I stand behind them because it's what it means when I see him. It's almost like a poet writing a poem, right? If he finds inspiration in something and that happens to offend you, what do you want me to do? That's what I found inspiration in, right? So guys, right now, if you have any children that are watching this live, please get out of the live and come back and say another 5 minutes, or mute us for a good 2 or 3 minutes, more 3 than 2, because I'm going to go ahead and play a little video I made for my boy Blueberry with a song that I actually made with artificial intelligence. And I will tell you, I had one hell of a ball those 10 hours. Well, it didn't take me 10 hours. It took me more like an hour to make the song. But for 10 hours, for the other 9 hours, what I was doing was switching up the genre that the song was going to be sung in. And I thought it was pretty cool. Right now it's loading. As soon as it finishes loading, I'm going to go ahead and play it for you guys. RGB says that's the same reason she prefers small litters. I guess you don't like the outliers, RGB. As far as I'm concerned, for me, if you were to ask me what is the perfect litter size in my mind, I think 8, 7, 8 is ideal. Typically, that's a litter size that mom is able to work with easily. All right, guys, listen, I gave you a chance to take the kitties out. I don't want children hearing this or anything like that. And I'm going to go ahead and play the little video I made for my boy Blueberry. Check it out.
Like blue eyes in a sea of blue, I can't stop thinking about you. The way you walk, the way you stand, the way you do you. Blueberry motherfucker you. That's right, blue, blue, blue. Blueberry motherfucker you. You act like you own the place. In the QBN yard you're far away. Blueberry motherfucker you. Saving my nickels and dimes, taking my time so I can get my bone and structure from Blueberry motherfucker you. I know you're gonna produce. I got to save up, I gotta invest in you. Blueberry motherfucker you. You are the best, cleaner than the rest. Blue, 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 sweet blue. You sexy motherfucker you. We love you, we sure do. Drink you like blueberry juice. Blueberry motherfucker you. I've seen many blue dogs, but none are like you. Blueberry motherfucker you. You blueberry motherfucker you. You got me waiting and waiting, gave me the blueberry motherfucker blues.
Yeah, there you have it, man. There you have it. Blueberry has his own music video. Yeah, I know the words are harsh, man, but if you accept it from an artistic standpoint, I don't know, man. I thought it was pretty good, but that's just me, man. RGB says, love it, keep it. Jared Grimm, feel like I'm in downtown New Orleans. There you go, man. Jose Hernandez thinks it's fire. I think if you do a poll on the video, you'll find more for than against it. I don't know what to tell you, Koa. Did you know that we have 4 times more non-subscribers watching us than subscribers? And no matter what I do, I can't get them to subscribe. That kind of tells you the type of people that are following us, man. That boy got some bone. He does. He does. He does. They mad because of, yeah, that's why they're mad, man, because of that word. Again, guys, it's just a song. Hey, we got Eduardo Morales López, puro fuego con esa rola. Saludos desde Aguascalientes, México. Keep it up, Raul. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it, man. I like the song, says Emilio Garcia. Pues claro que sí, cabrón. We're going to keep it on there, bro. Yeah. And, yeah, man, I dug the song. I dug the style. I really like blues. But not just blues. There's many different styles of blues, believe it or not. But that style in particular, and with that woman singing it, well, it's not even a woman. It's AI, right? But anyways, a woman's voice singing it, forget about it, man. Forget about it. It just means something, right? So when I hear it, it means something. I would never write a song to appease anyone. In my opinion, you write a poem the same way you write a song, based on inspiration or life. I don't know, life situations, whatever inspires you, however you feel, man. But we got G-Line says, I'm a hip hop artist. That was dope. Dang, G-Line, number love, man. Appreciate it. Thank you, man. Coming from a hip hop artist. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Mom is typing you a paragraph. Oh, here it comes. He's the stuff for sure. Love the song with the exception of the one word. It's killer for real. The blues perfect. Yes, and I will say this, Miss Fredia. I tried substituting that word for lover, so it would sound like mother lover. The song loses its pep. It loses a little bit of its meaning. If you hear the way the song is being explained or the lyrics of it, that word has to be there because not only does it make the song, it kind of gives passion behind the rest of the lyrics, if that means anything. Raul, you can drop knowledge and rhymes. Listen, you'd be surprised, Ronnie F. Before I became a nurse, I have a 4-year degree in political science, which doesn't mean much unless you became like a lawyer or something. But we had to write a lot of things, and we also had to talk in public. So I had a lot of public speaking. So the same way you see me talking here, you could put me in a crowd with 800 people, and I'm going to talk the same way. It's only because I had that practice, right? But yeah, man, a lot of writing, a lot of creative writing, because some of the classes that we had, they would say, we want you to write about this situation, but we don't want you to name it. So you pretty much have to dance around it. So long story short, it's almost like writing a song. Core Bully says, even musicians have people who love or hate their music. It's not going to hurt business. Just tag it age appropriate. Yeah, definitely, man. Grown-up song. That's what it is, man. Fredia's Trivia says, I still love you all. Thank you, Miss Fredia. Nothing but love. Love you back. Nothing but love. But guys, listen, I'm not going to push this any longer. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. It's been a good night. I just wanted to talk dogs, man. I enjoy talking dogs. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the video one more time, right? One more time. Yeah, G-Line says, hate is transmission fluid. Absolutely, man. It's either transmission fluid or it could be gasoline for the tank, either or. I'm going to play the song. I want you guys to drop comments when you're hearing the song as to what I could have done better, what you're thinking about, what's your favorite part of the song, what's the best bar, best lyric, best whatever, man. Guys, hold on, man. Cora says, appreciate you. Number love, Cora. Appreciate you back, man. Hey, I'm going to go ahead and drop it, and that's how we're going to sign off tonight. It's been Raw from the Q, catching you on the next one.
Like blue eyes in a sea of blue, I can't stop thinking about you. The way you walk, the way you stand, the way you do you. Blueberry motherfucker you. That's right, blue, blue, blue. Blueberry motherfucker you. You act like you own the place. In the QBN yard, you're far away. Blueberry motherfucker you. Saving my nickels and dimes, taking my time so I can get my bone and structure from blueberry motherfucker you. I know you're gonna produce. I got to save up, I gotta invest in you. Blueberry motherfucker you. You are the best, cleaner than the rest. Blue, 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 sweet blue. You sexy motherfucker you. We love you, we sure do. Drink you like blueberry juice. Blueberry motherfucker you. I've seen many blue dogs, but none are like you.